Good evening, folks. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct the business of the Gettysburg Area School District. Public comment is welcome, and issues will be referred to the appropriate board committee or administrator. Comments will be summarized in the official board minutes, which will be available by contacting the business office. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones and any other electronic devices. Before I get started, on a housekeeping note, we still continue to get feedback from the community. So I'm going to ask each member to identify themselves each time before they speak, and please lean in and speak into the mic. Those are the two chief comments that we continue to get back as a district as we try to conduct this meeting without our public being allowed to come in. Please, Ms. Collins, everybody's present except for Mike, who has a prior commitment. He's been excused. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Notices and communications? None. Citizens participation. Andrew. There are no citizen participation this evening. Routine approvals. We're going to change this up just a little bit. It's my understanding there may be a correction that the board needs to evaluate on 5.1. So I'm going to ask for a motion individually and a vote on those separately. 5.1 regular board minutes, August 3rd and 5th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Question.
Yes, Mr. President. Can you hear me? Okay. Yes? No? I just want to be clear.
A little
All
louder,
right,
Kathleen.
this is Kathleen Pratt,
There you go. Great.
and I would like to make a motion to amend the minutes on action 6.1 to reflect there was a roll call vote. Carrie Soliday and Kathleen Pratt voted no. All others voted yes.
There's a motion on the floor to amend the minutes from the regular board minutes, August 3rd and 5th. Do I have a second?
A second.
Question?
If I may ask Kathleen, Mrs. Pratt, where is the roll call vote? Like, can you count down the number of lines where it should be inserted? The one that's missing?
Yes, so if we look at, again, it's action 6.1. It's a lot of lines because it's actually on the second page. Maybe the better way to do it is look at action 7, information items, and we'll count up. 10 lines up from action 7. So if it helps, the language currently reads, Mr. Dickerson moved and Mrs. Hodges seconded the motion to table this agenda item. And following that line, there should be another line indicating the roll call vote. Does that help?
That does help, thank you. And Mr. President, I have another amendment. It's a few lines above that where it currently says Dr. Soliday called a question, and it should read Dr. Soliday called the question as in accordance with Robert's rules. So Dr. Soliday called the question, period.
So there is a second amendment change on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Question? Bob, I can, these are all under the same agenda item. They can be voted on, or do they need to be voted on separately?
If there's no objection, I'd vote on them both together. And if anybody disagrees with those amendments, then they ought to be voted on separately.
Well, hearing no board member having an objection, I'm going to call roll call on the amendments to the minutes, 5.1, the regular board minutes. Sylvan.
Yes.
Amy Beth.
Yes?
Tim.
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Timon.
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Al.
Yes.
And I vote yes. 5.2, regular board minutes, August 17th, 2020. May I have a motion, please?
I move to accept item 5.2, approval of the August 17th board minutes.
Second.
Question?
Mr. President, and perhaps I missed it, but after the amendment was approved, I'm not sure that the minutes were actually accepted as amended.
Oh, I understand. I was assuming that the vote on that, the minutes as a whole and the amendments were accepted by that vote.
No, what I would ask for is that now both sets of minutes be approved in one vote.
I understand.
Can I amend my motion to accept the board minutes from August 3rd with amendments and August 17th as is?
Second.
Question? Roll call. Al?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Timon?
Yes.
Amy Beth?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Sylvan?
Yes.
And I vote yes. 6.1, District Reopening Plan, Health and Safety Plan. Dr. Perrin?
Yeah, we're just updating the plan as required. So whenever we did the update, we made the language as general as possible so that we would be insulated by future future orders, so that we will comply with whatever comes down the pike. And that's the only change made, but a change that has to be reapproved by the board and submitted by me to the Pennsylvania Department of Ed. So thank you, everybody.
Do I have a motion on 6.1, please?
So moved.
Second.
Question? Roll call. Al?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Timon?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Amy Beth?
Yes.
Sylvan?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Informational item 7.1, Policy 815.3, live stream video.
The policy committee met yesterday at the admin office. This is a policy that we're putting in place for our instructional folks. Their goal is, by September 11th or so, that live streaming be an opportunity for instruction for the kids. So in order to put that in place, we met yesterday, the first read for the policies today, and we'll try to get the policy approved on September 8th, which would allow them to get started on the 11th. So the policy is in its form as recommended by the Tech Pool Council for the IU. We met yesterday. There'll be administrative guidelines, but those will come on the 8th as an information item only.
Mr. President, can I ask a question of
Thank
Dr.
you.
Perrin? This is Carrie Soliday. Dr. Perrin, could you clarify about the administrative guidelines that are to follow is associated with this? Could you clarify about the administrative guidelines? I think you're
Yeah.
saying are associated with policy 815?
Right, so the policy is general, more about what the board allows, and then the administrative guidelines will be how it's handled administratively. So the administrative guidelines, they're still working on and will be part of the board agenda on the 8th of September.
I have one follow-up question, if I may. So FERPA is not directly listed in the policy. That is the Family and Educational Rights and Privacy Act, so it protects student information. Will that be included in the policy or in the administrative guidelines?
So and I'll have Ann jump in if I get this if I get this wrong. So the Tech Pool Council indicated to us that since this was like a 0.3, 0.4, 0.2, that being that the items were addressed in the parent policy of 815, then it would apply to all of the 10th place policies that follow.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions for Dr. Perrin on 7.1 policy? Moving forward, board committee reports. I'm aware the policy committee met, but Mike is not here, so I'm assuming on September 8th, our next meeting, he'll have a report from his committee. Building program reports.
Mr. President, the Adams County Technical Institute report, we are actually meeting tomorrow. We called a brief meeting, 7:30 in the morning, for the sole purpose of approving that Mr. Eckenrode has the ability to apply for grants, such as those offered by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. They're looking to apply for a $50,000 grant. The deadline is Friday. He does not have that ability without board approval, so we're meeting tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Carrie. Building and program report.
Yeah, sure. I'll just mention a couple of items. We'll call it district potpourri at this point. I've been in lots of the buildings over the past 7 days or so, and people are really excited to start school. They're really excited to have kids back in the buildings. So folks are working diligently to make that happen. I think we've offered quite a wide span of opportunities to our families. So in doing that, it certainly makes it complicated. So we're working to to do that to the best of our ability. Perfect went out the door on March 13th of the spring, and we're still committed to providing a high quality education for all of our kids, and that's currently what we're working on. Just so the board's aware of some of the things that we keep an eye on and kind of keep working towards. Once instruction starts, substitutes are always hard to find. It was especially true pre-COVID. So in today's environment, we're certainly aware that that's going to be a more difficult get when our folks have to be out for various illnesses and things. So we are trying to mitigate some of those impacts. One of the things that Tam has worked with the instructional group on is getting a substitute assigned to every building kind of permanently. So at least when the first substitute is needed or there's an emergency, there's always a substitute assigned to the building, which we haven't had in the past, but we thought with the plethora of districts looking for the same people that we would try to jump on that and be a little proactive. So I'd like to thank Tam and the instructional folks for putting that putting that in place. We also continue to look at possible quality candidates, if there are quality candidates available that might help us in doing the things that we're trying to do. And we may bring folks on to help us with that effort. So if we would bring those forward for approval on September the 8th, if we would find those. So obviously, those are the kind of things that we're trying to do. We're in the last few days here before instruction, as I see Ann chuckle. We're in the last few days as we get to approach Monday, but I think that the bottom line is if you walk around and talk to people, everybody's just ready to see kids and to teach kids, and that's probably what keeps everybody going. And so appreciate everybody's patience. There are still things being determined. There are still things being communicated out, and that might have to happen even across the first week of school or so. But we'll get there, and I'm just really, really excited that we're going to start with kids in our buildings, and that's all I have to say, Mr. President.
Thanks, Jason. On our calendar of board events, I
Mr.
just want
President, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Oh,
This
I'm
is
sorry.
Carrie.
I'm sorry.
And it's for Dr. Perrin. You're very good about sharing information and also strategic thinking. Could you share with the board, as it becomes available, class counts? Like we normally would have a printout of that. I know it's fluid right now is a good word for it maybe, but
Yeah,
class counts?
We'd probably, once we get rolling in September, we would start those up again. They really kind of settle in right around October 1st or so. That's why the state uses October 1 for our official data. But as soon as we get up and running, we will start sharing those again with the board.
And if there's any classrooms that are not able to have the 6 feet social distance, if you could share that with the board also, that would be important to know. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure. Yep, absolutely.
Any additional questions? Calendar board events, I just want to remind everybody our next meeting is September 8th. It's a Tuesday. And I will send additional stuff out, correspondence. We will hold an executive session at 6 p.m. prior to our regular school board meeting for a personnel matter that I will update the board on as we get closer. I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.